Good morning, everybody. I'm Elanie Beckett. I'm my soul yoga Veda, and I'm joining Change Creator SA this morning again for our usual 20-minute talk on Ayurveda. And this week I'm dealing specifically with mental health. We've extensively covered our food choices and digestion, digestive fire, toxicity, and now we're moving on a little bit into the mental health sphere, which is the section that people very rarely talk about. Okay, so what we've been doing for the last couple of days is we have started decluttering our space, creating more space in our environment, creating more space in our minds, and creating the flexibility to allow thoughts to become creative within our minds. Now, the next section that I want to teach you is a big thing that holds us back from decluttering. We've been talking about minimalism, if you want to call it that, or alternatively, let's just refer to it as getting rid of all the stuff that's taking up space in your space, taking up space in your mind that aren't really necessary in your life. So if you've been following along, you've probably started packing up some stuff and probably started unpacking some stuff again, as and when you need them. And by now, day 5, maybe you're starting to realize that there's a whole bunch of things that are still in boxes. You might even have some furniture and big bulky things that are still covered by a sheet or a towel or a blanket, whatever you use, starting to realize that this chair has now been sitting in the corner and nobody has sat on it for 4 days. You know, I had a really big, hideous piece of furniture that I lugged around for 4 major house moves before I realized it was a piece of furniture that I never ever used. It was an old flimsy drawer, chest of drawer thing, but I'd inherited it. I didn't even inherit it. My parents inherited it from their grandparents, and it was like a family thing. And it was big and bulky. It served no purpose, and it was so dilapidated I couldn't use it. It was going to fall apart. So by the time I did my house cleanse thing, I realized, why am I lugging this thing around? And that brought me to the answer of that question was, deep down, if I went to the very root of it, it was fear. And a big part of when we're starting to release our physical possessions and clearing up our space, even releasing emotions, changing our diet, it all comes down to fear. And what are the 3 major things that we fear? Stanley's covered this on the Change Creator SA page, so scroll down a little bit and go and listen to that talk. The 3 major things that we fear: we have a fear of loss, we have a fear of the process, and we have a fear of the outcomes. Now, in decluttering and starting to minimalize and getting rid of all the stuff that we don't use regularly, the most obvious fear is the fear of loss, losing stuff. Yesterday I spoke, and if you missed it, go and have a look at that. It's very important. Yesterday I spoke specifically about monetizing and putting...
I don't know how to
which
do
one?
it.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Show me how to do it on the Facebook page.
Where are you now?
I don't know. That's why I don't like it. That's why.
Yeah, but where, on which page are you now?
Okay, carry on. Oh, I saw you. There you go.
Okay, just click on it. No, you're not. You're in the group. You're not on the page. There. Sorry, guys. I'll be with you now. There, now you'll see it, and then you can just carry on. Sorry about that. So yesterday I spoke extensively about putting a monetary value on your possessions, converting the price of the stuff that's still left in your boxes after you've done this packing up thing, converting that back into rands or dollars, euros, whatever you use, converting it into a monetary currency, and then thinking for yourself, how many hours would I have to work in order to earn this amount of money? I use the example of saying that, let's say I had 10,000 rands worth of old electronics and furniture and clothing and knickknacks in my boxes after a month of this exercise. The average regular working person has to work a full month to earn about 10,000 rand here in South Africa, very standard average middle class. And in order to earn 10,000 rand, you have to work 4 weeks of 40 hours each, 40, 80, up to 160 hours that you have to work to earn the money to buy the junk that's still sitting in your boxes. So what are we afraid of? Why are we afraid to give up our physical possessions? In my case, with the hideous piece of furniture that I lugged around, it was a fear of ridicule. Now, I knew that I had now inherited this hideous, bulky piece of furniture, and I didn't feel I could get rid of it because, oh, what would the family say if I gave Opa great grootjies for 4-kilogram massive, hideous, awful thing away? You know what? Nobody was even going to know. The people I was afraid of ridicule of were family members that I hadn't seen in a decade. So what's the point? But we don't think that far. The next fear that we have is the process fear, and that's possibly where a lot of you are sitting at the moment, is this going to be difficult? Is it going to be a massive, major job to now pack up my whole entire house and put it in boxes? Yes, it is. But you're going to do it once. And whenever you need to move or change something or move stuff around, you won't have to do it again. And you're going to have the space to be able to do it so much easier next time that you're forced to do it, for example, for a house move. So why are we afraid of the process? Are we afraid that we're going to have to face emotions? Because very often it is the case. Are we afraid that we're going to actually want to get rid of stuff and realize, like I did, realize that I actually don't want this thing that I think I should want because it's valuable in the eyes of other people? What are we afraid of? And the last fear is the fear of the outcomes. What if I get rid of my stuff and then 2 days later I need it? Chances are you won't. That's why we're taking it slow. And chances are that the things that you use on a regular basis, you will unpack within a month. If you haven't unpacked it within a month, you really don't need it that much. If you don't use it once a month, you can borrow it from someone. Or it might be a small thing that you can reacquire, like a stapler, for instance, because I know that was one of the things that I ended up tossing. And then literally 2 months later, I did need a stapler. And I went out and I bought a stapler. That's okay. But the main thing is that you are aware of the different kinds of fears and then identify, what am I afraid of and why? Most of the times the fear is fear of people won't love me anymore. What will my friends say if they come and visit and I don't have a house full of stuff anymore? You know, be brave, take chances. What if you get rid of big bulky things and suddenly you have space to unpack that recreational area that you've always wanted, to set up your easel and start painting? What if you suddenly have the space to exercise in your house? Because yeah, it's cold now, so I don't want to do it outside. But what now? What if I have the space to suddenly start doing it in my house? I'm going to tie this in with a health thing. A lot of us are afraid to make changes in our lifestyles for exactly the same reasons. We clutter our minds with stuff and with thoughts, and we clutter our bodies with food. We are in a culture that has taught us that you have to have these enormous meals or have 3 meals a day. Some eating plans say have 5 or 6 small meals a day. We are so programmed that we have to have these mountains of things in our lives: food, people, furniture. Is it really necessary? And if I give it up, what will be the result? Will it really be catastrophic? What if I change my eating habits really slowly by taking small little steps? Am I afraid of starvation? Am I scared that I'm going to lose food? Am I, on a very deep level, afraid that I'm going to lose weight? A lot of us say that we want to lose some body fat, we want to lose weight, but do we really want to? A lot of us, our excess body fat is actually a kind of a shield. It's kind of an identity. A lot of us are in a situation where we've been so programmed that overweight is the standard struggle that we're afraid to release our excess body weight, because what if I don't fit in with the overweight crowd who's always complaining and sad? It's so strange that in our minds we have a need to belong, even if it means belonging to something that's not good for us. So what if you changed your eating habits and it was actually good for you? What if you became part of a new crowd, the healthy crowd, the energetic crowd, the crowd who wasn't ashamed of their bodies? So I want to invite you today to just give it a try. Take small steps. If it's too big for you to start changing your house and getting rid of excess clutter externally. Start changing what you put into your body and just see what the results are. What are you afraid of? Am I afraid of losing my social interaction? Why would you lose your social interaction just because you're eating different things? It's not like you're stopping eating. Why would you be afraid of the process when there's so many step-by-step baby little steps that you can take easily on a daily basis that might require 1 or 2 small changes? For instance, I'm going to start a thing like this today. And for me, it's been a big deal because I've been putting this off for ages. In Ayurveda, we're always teaching and training that you should have your biggest meal of the day around noon, which is when your digestion is at its stronger. It's right when the sun is at its zenith. We have this heat, we have the energy, the body is really ready to digest. But with the way that we work and that we're sitting in our offices, for most of us, it's really hard because we work full time, we eat at our desks, and then we come home starving, we eat the entire fridge and we cook a massive meal because we're so hungry, we cook so much, and we end up eating an enormous meal right before bed. Not ideal. It can clog the system. It causes what I've mentioned before, that ama, toxicity, blocking up between the cells, preventing the lymph from draining. So today I am going to prepare my biggest meal of the day. I'm going to start cooking it at around 12:30. So ideally eat between 10 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock in the afternoon, have your main meal. And then tonight we're going to have a light meal. We're just going to have some, I'm baking a homemade bread here with some avocado on it. So I'm switching those two around. And in my family, that's a big challenge because we are so used to, this is how I grew up. And this is how I've raised my children, having a little salad for lunch and then having this cooked, hearty meal at dinner. So let's see how that goes. Now, if I can do it, you can do it. Let's start with one small change. If you haven't embarked on this journey of decluttering yet, make today your day one. Start planning. What do I want to do with my space? Who do I want to be? Do I want to be a person who's afraid to go out or leave my house for extended periods of time because what if I get robbed? Make a change starting in your head today. So right now Stanley is going to be back on Change Creator SA with his talk on relationships, helping us stay sane with the people that we have to spend so much time with right now. And after that, on Change Creator SA, we'll have Aubrey Masangu, Talk Radio 702, joining us with his insights. So thank you for joining me and I look forward to seeing you again.